Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Thursday. A very cold Thursday, but at least the wind has dropped off, and temperatures are at the almost midday hour, still in the upper 20s and low 30s. It's just amazing how cold this air mass is, and it is moving out to the east. I mean, here it is, almost noontime, and it's 36 in Baltimore. It's 36 in Washington, D.C. It's just barely back to freezing in New York City. It's in the upper 20s and low 30s in areas just to the north and northwest of the coast. So indeed, for this time of year, a very cold air mass. And in fact, March, as a month, is running 5 degrees colder than the month of February. And so this may wind up being one of the few times that it has happened before in New York City weather history, which goes back to 1869. So there's a nice data set there. It has happened 5 times where March has actually been colder than February. And given that we have come off one of the warmest, if not the warmest February on record, this accomplishment of having a colder March than February isn't as monumental maybe as it sounds because of the February number being so high. But nonetheless, it is something that has only happened a handful of times in the last 100 and almost 50 years. So let's look ahead to this weekend as we take a run at this big high that's moving out to the south. And here comes the warm front to the west. We're looking at the NAM model here going into Friday morning, and you can see there's an area of light snow and sleet that it develops, and it's very, very spotty precip. This is very light, a couple of hundredths at best, and it basically falls apart as it moves eastward. But you know what? If somebody gets an ice pellet or a snowflake, that'll be in the transition over to a milder air mass, which we are going to have here for Friday night and for Saturday. Now, one of the the issue for Saturday is the fact that we do have this backdoor cold front that's going to be coming through here at some point during the day. And I have the map drawn here for Saturday morning. I actually have the front probably a little bit too far to the south. It's more like back a little bit further north in that second line here that I've drawn. And we are going to have temperatures warm up, I think, into the 50s and 60s. But the critical placement of the front and when it comes through and how much cloud cover is there going to be is important. And you can see that the NAM actually generates a little bit of shower activity with the front. I don't know how real that is. Sometimes you wind up seeing showers like this on a backdoor, but a lot of times you don't. So I'm a little suspect here. We'll see if it winds up being real or not, because that is going to impact temperatures, especially for Connecticut and for Long Island and northern New Jersey. I don't think so much for central and south Jersey if this area of showers is real, or if there's just a lot of clouds. But I'm anticipating that it's going to be every bit of the 60s for central and south Jersey and for southeastern Pennsylvania, maybe near 60 around New York City, and 50s to near 60 for the Hudson Valley and Long Island and Connecticut. At least that's my view at the moment. And then low pressure, runs up to the west. There isn't a whole lot with this. There are some showers with it. As we go into Sunday, I'm wondering how much rain we're going to actually see. It may just be on the order of very light rain or drizzle. But I just want to show you here, the warm front actually doesn't go that far south. It gets pinned down across central New Jersey and then moves back northward as a warm front. So it may be one of these days on Sunday where the northern half of New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, New York City, Long Island, and points north and east are in the 40s, while you go to central and south Jersey, and particularly South Jersey, southeastern PA, south and west of there, it'll be in the upper 60s and low 70s. Don't be surprised at all if that winds up happening. The other thing I want to just point out is the severe weather threat for Friday afternoon, and it looks like we're going to see some strong thunderstorms from parts of northeastern Missouri down through western Arkansas and east Texas. And this is because of this low that's coming out of the southern plains and weakening as it heads to the northeast. So I'm thinking that the severe weather threat for the next day, there are some indications that there could be some showers and storms early on Saturday, but I'm thinking the severe weather threat shifts eastward here, and you'll notice this is by Saturday evening. We have the potential for some strong thunderstorms, probably from southern Indiana on down through Tennessee and into northern Mississippi. Not the most impressive looking of lines on the model, but nonetheless, it is there. And then as we move eastward, I think this is just going to be maybe some scattered thunderstorms in the mix and not a widespread severe weather threat for the mid-Atlantic and southeast on Sunday and Monday as that cold front approaches. So we will now look a little wider so we can get a flavor of what's going to be happening. And I don't have any opinion changes from what I said yesterday. This is going into a typical, pretty much a typical spring pattern here. And that usually means weather systems moving along, across the United States, not that much cold air, some cold air in some places, but not really extending that far south. And by the way, just very quickly, and the Canadian model did this a couple of days ago, and I was kidding about it, but there's a low that actually it spins up down in the subtropics here, and you can see it in the eastern Bahamas by Sunday. Now, eventually, it just takes it out to the northeast, but it's just kind of interesting to see something spin out with a little bit of tropical moisture or maybe some sort of subtropical characteristics as it comes out south of the Dominican Republic from the Caribbean and moves north and northeast. So I'll take a deeper look and see what exactly that is and what's going on. But it's obviously way too early for any kind of tropical system, but it's just interesting that it spins up a low. Now notice we've got a parade of lows when we move through. I'm going to back it up just a bit. Here's our warm front. Here's the storm system that comes into the plains for Saturday, and it brings in some rain for later Sunday night into Monday in the northeast. But you notice that there's a parade of systems here. You've got this one. You have another one that's coming up in the central plains, and you've got another system coming in the Pacific Northwest. And basically what's happening in this pattern is each one of them sort of marches across and does whatever it does. This early next week, there's one for Tuesday into Wednesday that moves into the northeast. It looks like there'll be a cold rain with that of some sort. Another system that comes into the southern plains along about March 29th, March 30th. And actually, even though this is out at day 7, this could be a pretty important severe weather event based on what the models are generating for parts of Texas and Oklahoma as a strong low begins to develop and heads up into Oklahoma and Kansas and then rides away eventually toward the Great Lakes, which is much like what these other systems have done one after another. Here's another system coming in to Texas and potential severe weather as we go into the beginning of April. And in fact, that system, the model wraps up into some sort of gale center again up in New England. It did this yesterday, and it's doing it again today. So I don't know how real this is, but it'll be interesting to see if there's some consistency in model runs going forward. And we just have more systems coming into the west. So this looks like a very active, busy time. I also think that there's going to be some warmer temperatures eventually showing up here in the northeast because of it. It just may take some time to play out as we go through the next couple of weeks. We're just going to have to watch the upper air pattern and see how it goes with that. But we'll take a look at that now in terms of the upper air. And I mentioned yesterday how we go from these looks where the upper pattern looks wintry, which is kind of like that. That's somewhat wintry. And again, this is because, we do have, this was yesterday's upper air. So we have that polar flow established. You have this busy Pacific flow that just keeps rolling along with system after system. And you have this ridge out in the Atlantic that kind of locks in that polar flow. Well, that disappears and we go into a bit of a ridge position for the weekend, but it's a flat ridge. So we're going to be fighting the warm air coming up from the north and then this push of colder air. Warm air coming up from the south, this push of colder air coming from the north. And there's your system that's coming out of the southern plains. So now we're into Saturday on the upper air. So as it evolves, you can kind of see this parade of upper air systems that move through. This one looks pretty potent there. It moves down into Southern California. You do have some semblance of blocking here with this upper high that's trying to build into Greenland. It's not exactly a strong one, but then you also have this big, strong, what looks like a strong storm at 50 north, 50 west. You do have some blocking, but you don't have a true polar flow of air here, so it doesn't really cause you to have any snow threats here in the east. But you can see how busy the upper air pattern is with these weather systems. And in fact, as we move into day 11 and 12, April 3rd, we have another deep trough here in the eastern states. So this is where they had that gale center I showed you. And by the way, just as a reminder, if you lose track of dates, you can always look at the top of the map while I'm rolling the video, and the date is right here. So Tuesday, April 4th, and this is in Greenwich Mean Time. So 6Z would be 2 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, so it translates to a 4-hour difference. You're going to subtract 4 hours from it, and that'll tell you, what time it is if you're in the east. And of course, if you're in the west, you're going to subtract 7 hours. Here we go. So going ahead now as we move through days 14, 15, and 16. Again, this is just really typical spring, and that tendency for some ridging here in the eastern states, which is very interesting. As we go into the first week of April or so. So we're going to see if that winds up happening, because that could mean for some warmer temperatures. And the jet, running west to east across Canada kind of cuts off the polar flow. You're going to see that polar flow appear and disappear from time to time through the month of April. And the warmer stretches should be getting longer and longer as we go through time. All right, so we're going to cut it. We're going to leave it there as far as today's weather is concerned. There really isn't anything too worrisome from the standpoint of any kind of major storms, although, again, we do have that severe weather threat that we are going to work through in parts of the middle and lower Mississippi Valley and into western areas of the Ohio Valley for Friday into Saturday. So we're going to be taking a look at that. And, of course, you can check out all the latest website posts at meteorologistjoechaffee.com. And Angry Ben has his perspective on all this on his website, which is nycweathernow.com. And in the meantime, thank you for being here on my YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. Do subscribe to my YouTube videos. The subscription is free, doesn't cost you a dime, and you get notified anytime any new videos appear. So everybody have a great day, a great Thursday, and we'll talk to you soon.